All right, let's talk about one of the biggest headaches in enterprise AI. How do you stop these incredibly powerful AI agents from just, well, guessing? Today, we're going to dive into a new way of thinking, an architecture that promises to turn AI from a risky bet into a reliable, auditable partner for your business.
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. We've all seen the incredible things these models can do, right? But making them work consistently inside a real company? It's not about just getting a bigger, more powerful model. It's about how you structure the knowledge you give them. It's all about the architecture.
So here's the fundamental problem, the big dilemma. You can take the most advanced AI agent on the planet and drop it into your company, but it's probably going to stumble. Why? Because it knows everything about the world in general, but it knows absolutely nothing about your world, your specific rules, your internal systems, your unique way of doing things.
There's actually a term for this, and it's called the institutional impedance mismatch. It's this deep structural gap between the AI's generic training and your organization's very specific DNA. And this mismatch, it's the root cause of all the guesswork. The agent is forced to make assumptions, and that's where things get unpredictable and, frankly, pretty expensive.
And believe me, this guesswork isn't just some minor inconvenience. It comes with a very real, very high price tag that hits your business in a few critical ways.
First up, you've got the context window economy. Just think of an agent's context window as its short-term memory. It's a finite resource. Every time the agent guesses wrong, you're stuffing that limited memory with useless junk. Bad attempts, wrong information. You're burning through your token budget on noise, which makes every single thing the agent does after that slower, more expensive, and less effective.
That mess leads directly to what we call the institutional knowledge tax. This is the human cost, and it's a killer. It means your most senior, most valuable engineers are stuck playing babysitter. They're constantly having to stop their real work to spoon-feed the AI the exact context it should have had in the first place. That is a massive drain on productivity.
And when you put those two problems together, you get this nasty downward spiral called context rot. See, every wrong guess pollutes the context window, which then makes the next guess even more likely to be wrong, which pollutes the context even more. The agent's performance just degrades over time, all because it started out flying blind.
Now, chew on this for a second. The starting cost to get a single one of these autonomous agents up and running is often north of $100,000. When you're making that kind of investment, you absolutely cannot afford to have it all get eaten up by context rot and engineer babysitting. The stakes are just way too high.
So, what's the answer? How do we fix this? Well, it requires a pretty big shift in how we think. We have to move away from just dumping documents on an AI and hoping for the best. We need to move toward activating precise, structured knowledge.
This table really lays out the difference beautifully. On the left, you've got the common approach today, RAG. It hands the agent a big chunk of text and basically says, good luck, figure it out. The agent has to do all the heavy lifting. But on the right, with knowledge activation, we're given the agent a prepackaged, action-ready skill, an atomic knowledge unit, with all the rules and governance baked right in. The agent's job becomes much simpler. Just follow the instructions.
And you get there through this elegant three-step pipeline. First, codification. You capture all that messy, tribal knowledge floating around your company and structure it. Second, compression. You distill it down into these tiny, token-efficient units of action. And finally, injection. You deliver exactly the right skill to the agent at precisely the right moment.
Okay, enough theory. Let's make this real. We're going to walk through a perfect example, processing invoices. It's a critical business function that's messy and rule-heavy, an ideal place to see this architecture in action.
And the star of the show is this concept, the Atomic Knowledge Unit, or AKU. The best way to think of it is like a single, super smart Lego block for your business. It's this perfect, self-contained package that has everything an agent needs to perform one specific action correctly and safely.
Now, every one of these AKU Lego blocks is built from 7 key parts. You have the intent declaration, which is just what it does and when. Then, procedural knowledge, the literal step-by-step recipe. Tool bindings point it to the right software APIs. Organizational metadata says who owns it. And now for the really important stuff. Governance constraints build the rules right in. Continuation paths tell the agent what to do next, whether it succeeds or fails. And finally, validators are little automated scripts that double-check the work to enforce the rules. So, let's look at our invoice skill. The governance isn't just a friendly suggestion, it's a command. The AKU states the agent must use the app extractor role and must follow GDPR. The rules aren't an afterthought. They're embedded in the very DNA of the skill itself.
And this is how you make sure those rules are followed.
The validator isn't AI checking its own homework. It's a simple, deterministic script that runs after the fact and confirms yes or no that the essential fields are there. This is how you achieve governance that can actually scale. It's automated, and it's foolproof. Crucially, these AKUs link together to form intelligent workflows. They aren't isolated islands. If the invoice data is extracted successfully, the continuation path sends the agent to the next logical skill, reconciling it with a purchase order. But if it fails, it knows exactly what to do. Route the problem to a human for review. No guesswork, just a clear, predefined path.
Okay, so we've seen the individual Lego block, the AKU. Now let's zoom out and see how you can use these governed blocks to build an entire intelligent system for your company.
The whole thing is managed by a clean 3-layer architecture. At the bottom, you've got the AKU registry, which is just a big library of all your approved certified skills. In the middle, the knowledge topology is a map that shows how all those skills connect. And at the very top, the activation policy acts like a security guard, controlling exactly which agents are allowed to use which skills and when.
And when you put all this together, you unlock something amazing: AI-generated golden paths. This means instead of being locked into a rigid, hard-coded process, the agent can actually build the perfect workflow on the fly, dynamically snapping together the right AKOs for the job. It's both flexible and completely safe because it's only using your approved building blocks.
And this really brings us full circle, back to our main point. For enterprise AI to succeed, a smart, governed knowledge architecture will always beat raw, untamed model power. Always.
And look, this isn't just theory. The results are real. For use cases just like the invoice example we walked through, companies using this approach are accelerating critical financial processes, like closing their books, by 30 to 50%. That's a massive, measurable impact on the business.
The potential prize here is absolutely staggering. McKinsey thinks AI agents could add trillions with a T in value every year. But you can't get to that value if your agents are constantly making mistakes. This architecture is the bridge that connects the raw potential of AI to real, reliable business outcomes.
So I'll leave you with this final question to think about. Your AI agents are learning, one way or another. The choice you have to make is this. Are you going to provide them with a structured, governed curriculum of skills, or are you just going to let them wander through the massive library of your company's data and hope for the best? Because the architecture you choose today will absolutely determine your success tomorrow.